Claude, ChatGPT, and pseudo-write all get pitched as the writer's toolkit, but only one of these three actually wins the coding fight outright, and it's not the one most people default to. The surprise here is that Claude Opus 4.5 beats GPT 5.1 by 6.7 points on SWE Bench Verified, the benchmark that tests real GitHub issues instead of toy problems, which flips the ChatGPT does everything best assumption on its head. Let's start with the number that decides whether any of this is worth paying for in the first place. Claude and ChatGPT are dead even at the entry level. Both offer a genuine free tier, $0 to get started, no credit card required to test the waters. Pseudo-write skips that entirely. There's no published free tier for pseudo-write, only a one-time free trial that gives you 10,000 credits to burn through before you have to commit. Move up to the mid-tier, and Claude and ChatGPT are still tied, both charging $20 a month for their core paid plans, Claude Pro and ChatGPT Plus. Pseudo-write's professional plan runs $22 a month on annual billing, so technically the most expensive of the three at that tier, but it's close enough that price alone isn't the deciding factor here. Here's where it flips. If all you want is dedicated fiction writing tools and you don't need a general-purpose assistant, Pseudo-write's hobby plan is $10 a month on annual billing, half the price of Claude Pro or ChatGPT Plus. That's the cheapest way to get purpose-built writing features anywhere in this comparison. At scale, if you're burning through 1 million credits a month, Pseudo-write's professional plan works out to roughly $10 a month per user on annual billing, which is a genuinely competitive rate for a specialized tool. So cost splits 3 ways depending on what you actually need. For a casual user just wanting something free, it's a tie between Claude and ChatGPT. For the cheapest dedicated writing features, Pseudo-write wins outright. Pseudo-write takes this round overall because it's the only one of the three offering purpose-built value at $10 a month, something neither general-purpose chatbot can match. On raw, mid-tier pricing, Claude edges it by $2 a month over Pseudo-write's annual rate, but that's a rounding error compared to what you get for it. I went through the pricing pages, the model cards, and the independent benchmarks for all three of these, so you don't have to cross-reference 10 tabs yourself. One of the biggest problems I run into when using AI agents is turning their output into YouTube content I can actually use to market my product. That's why this video is sponsored by Subscriber, a tool that helps business owners connect their AI agents to YouTube and market their products without spending 10 hours every week creating content. You can connect Claude or ChatGPT directly to Subscriber. It then analyzes your business, website, and YouTube channel to help you create SEO-optimized video ideas, scripts, thumbnails, and even complete videos that actually match your brand. What I like most is that every week, Subscriber gives me a list of high-potential video ideas I can immediately execute, and it can even help edit videos for me, with or without my face, including videos like the one you're watching right now. It's easy to get started, and you can try Subscriber for free using the link in the description below. Now back to the video. Every number in this video is sourced, and where the data runs dry, I'll tell you. This is the test that actually settles the biggest myth in this comparison, that ChatGPT is automatically the best choice for everything. On SWE Bench Verified, the benchmark that grades models against real-world GitHub issues instead of clean textbook problems, Claude Opus 4.5 scores 80.9%, GPT 5.1 scores 74.2%. That's a 6.7-point gap, and in benchmark terms, that's not a rounding difference. That's a real edge in a model's ability to actually fix broken code inside a live repository. It's not a one-off either. On Human Evil, which measures whether a model can generate correct code straight from a doc string, Claude hits 97.3% against ChatGPT's 94.2%. On MBPP, a more basic programming benchmark, Claude scores 96.1% to ChatGPT's 93.4%. 3 separate coding benchmarks, 3 wins for Claude, and the gap holds steady across all of them. Community reported, but consistent. And Claude wins it clean. If coding is the deciding factor for you, this is the single most important number in the entire video. Claude Opus 4.5 is, on the published numbers, significantly better at coding than ChatGPT, and that 6.7-point SWE bench gap is exactly the kind of margin that matters when you're shipping real software instead of just chatting about it. Pseudo-write doesn't publish coding benchmarks at all, and that's expected. It's a fiction writing tool, not a developer tool, so this round is really a 2-horse race between Claude and ChatGPT. Coding ability is one thing, but if a model makes you sit there waiting, that changes how it feels to actually use day to day. ChatGPT wins this round clearly, Its time to first token clocks in at 1.8 seconds, nearly twice as fast as Claude's 3.2 seconds. That gap sounds small on paper, but in a real back-and-forth session, waiting almost double the time before the model even starts responding adds up fast, especially if you're iterating quickly on a script or a function. Output throughput tells the same story. ChatGPT generates at roughly 88 tokens per second on high reasoning, while Claude sits around 46.8 to 51 tokens per second. So ChatGPT isn't just quicker to start, it's also quicker to finish once it gets going. For anyone chaining prompts together or working in a tight loop, that combination of a faster first token and faster total output makes ChatGPT feel noticeably more responsive in daily use. Pseudo-write speed isn't independently benchmarked, since it's built on underlying models that aren't broken out separately in public documentation. That leaves this test as another Claude versus ChatGPT matchup, and ChatGPT takes it decisively on both measured metrics. If snappy, responsive back and forth matters more to your workflow than raw coding accuracy, this is the round that should carry real weight in your decision. Stick with me, because the last 4 tests are where this decision actually flips. Now here's where the story gets more interesting, because raw numbers only tell half of it. ChatGPT's context window sits at 400,000 tokens, double Claude's 200,000. That means ChatGPT can hold a bigger document, a bigger code base, or a longer conversation in memory at once, before it starts losing track of earlier details. ChatGPT also wins on maximum output length, capable of generating up to 128,000 tokens in a single response, compared to Claude's 64,000. But Pseudo-write plays an entirely different game here, and it's worth understanding why. Its context isn't measured in tokens at all, it's measured in roughly 20,000 words plus 25 linked chapters. And it leans on a dedicated story Bible and chapter continuity feature, specifically built to track characters and world building across an entire novel. Claude and ChatGPT can absolutely remember what happened a few pages back, but they're not purpose-built to hold 100,000-word manuscripts worth of character arcs and plot threads the way Pseudo-write's system is. So on raw context and output size, ChatGPT wins outright, doubling Claude on both fronts. But for long-form fiction specifically, where the concern isn't token count but narrative consistency across dozens of chapters, Pseudo-write's specialized approach wins that specific use case. This is a round where the winner genuinely depends on what you're building. And I want to be straight with you about that, instead of pretending one number settles it. That's a structural advantage neither general-purpose chatbot is designed to replicate. Last test, and it's about where and how you can actually use each of these. Claude has the widest cloud reach of the 3, available through its own API plus Amazon Bedrock, Google Vertex AI, and Microsoft Foundry, which matters a lot if you're a developer trying to build Claude into your own product or internal tooling. ChatGPT, though, is the most versatile consumer product by a wide margin. It supports advanced voice mode, image generation, through tools like Sora and DALL-E, vision for reading documents and images, and broad app integrations across web, mobile, and desktop. Claude has no voice mode and no image generation at all. So if you want an assistant that talks back to you or generates visuals alongside text, ChatGPT is simply the more complete package. Pseudo-write sits in its own lane here too. It's web, iOS, and Android, but there's no public developer API, so you can't build it into your own workflow the way you can with Claude or ChatGPT. What it does have is a genuinely fiction-focused feature set. Tools like Muse for prose generation, and a basic visualize feature for images, all tailored specifically to novelists rather than general users. ChatGPT takes this round for sheer versatility. Claude wins the subcategory of cloud and API deployment. Pseudo-write wins the subcategory of purpose-built fiction workflow. 3 different winners, 3 different reasons to care, depending entirely on what you're actually trying to do. Claude Opus 4.5 wins on coding, period, beating ChatGPT by 6.7 points on SWE Bench Verified, and backing that up with wins on Human Evil and MBPP 2. It's also the strongest for cloud and API deployment, reaching developers through Bedrock, Vertex, and Foundry. Now, Claude Opus 4.5 wins on coding, period, beating ChatGPT by 6.7 points on SWE Bench Verified, and backing that up with wins on Human Evil and MBPP 2. It's also the strongest for cloud and API deployment, reaching developers through Bedrock, Vertex, and Foundry. Here is where Pseudo-write clearly pulls ahead of the field. Claude Opus 4.5 wins on coding, period, beating ChatGPT by 6.7 points on SWE Bench verified, and backing that up with wins on Human Evil and MBPP 2. It's also the strongest for cloud and API deployment, reaching developers through Bedrock, Vertex, and Foundry. ChatGPT wins speed, context, and general versatility. It's nearly twice as fast to first token, doubles Claude's context window at 400,000 tokens, and it's the only one. One thing the docs never spell out will quietly cost you if you miss it. If this helped, the next breakdown on the channel goes even deeper.